Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 1279. Can you tell me how to get to Cafe Anyway? You go to Podcaster Valentino. 1279. Yesterday, I, Mike Matthews, had on my first rapper. It only took 1,278 episodes to get to the first rapper. But today, we...
Mike's Daily Podcast.
Look at a little bit of news. And please go back and check out that interview from the last show.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And we talked to Madame Rootabega, Valentino, and Bison Bentley, and we had an awesome rapper on, incidentally, and she rapped about stuff that was pertaining to her life. And then I went back and thought about how I don't get enough sleep.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
At night. But the problem is I wake up at 4. The good thing is I wake up at 4, but the bad thing...
Mike's
you can get so much stuff done
Daily
when you wake up at 4.
Podcast.
But getting to bed...
Yeah!
You can't get to bed early enough is the problem. I just cannot... I go to bed, so a friend of mine was kind of texting me yesterday, telling me, you need to go to bed earlier. I already go to bed like at 7, and I was texting her this like at 7 as I was just about to go to bed. You can't get... She said, well, you need to drink more water. My ex-wife used to tell me that. You need to drink more water. Like, that will solve all the Earth's problems if I drink more water. Well, I should drink more water because water seems to be causing dams to overflow. Which, you know that story about I can't think of the name of the dam at the moment, but it's the one in north of us here. That it's not the dam that's breaking, it's this part of the retaining... It's an overspill area. It's basically a hill. It's just a hill that they really didn't realize that, not even a year ago, they were at record lows of that water area, and now there's a hill that's eroding. Look who just walked in. Hello, Michael Master, it's Madame Rootabega, and I'm not eroding. Ooh. That's good. You're as strong and vivacious as ever. Yes, Michael Master. You look a little tired. Ooh. Yeah. When the coffee isn't working anymore, that's when you feel like you can't do it, that you can't wake up.
Some coffee?
What's that?
Would you like some coffee? When the coffee's first rate, so is everything else.
What I am saying to you is there's a lot of water to drink. And that we have so much. Hey, it's Valentine's Day today. I know, Michael Master. Happy Valentine's Day! Ooh. Yes, that's a day of love. Or it's what I like to call it, Tuesday. I was trying to look online for some kind of fun festival, like oh, look who else just walked in, like an anti-Valentine's Day festival or something, or party. And all I could find was that big pillow fight that they do in San Francisco, where it's an unofficial pillow fight, and really, if you go and do it, you are taking your life in your own hands in San Francisco. But look who else walked in.
Hello, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And this is Bison Bentley. Do you know that? We're gonna make a turd patty.
Yeah, turd patty. Day.
Oh, right, a third party. That's what we need. Because apparently the party that's in power is all over the place. Now, they have lost their national security advisor. We'll find out more about that in the segment Do You Know Dat, which we named after something that you say all the time, Bison Bentley. What's that? You say Do You Know Dat all the time. No, I don't. Do you know that? I get... But, what? Hey, I think you gotta start somewhere. To quote our rapper that was on Kaylee B. Swaggin' last show. And that's what today's show is all about, is getting started. Maybe you're not in love, or maybe you are in a relationship. I'm just really sick of hearing about meeting stories. I have said this before, but I say meat stories are overhyped. What are meat stories, Mike? That's where you talk about delicious meat. I was on Fairmont Ridge yesterday with my dog, Basil the Boxer, who happens to be here right now. Oh, my good dog. Such a good dog. Stop biting me. Stop biting me. Stop biting me. Stop biting me. It's a love bite. Love bites. Love bleeds. It's bringing me to my knees. No, I was at Fairmont Ridge with the dog, Basil the Boxer, and we were walking along. And there are cows there. This time of year, Fairmont Ridge has a bunch of cows. And these cows are the coolest animals I've ever seen. I never want to eat beef again. Sorry, beef industry. Your tasty, delicious steaks and filet mignons and crap. I may have to eat some cows. But these cows were so cute just watching us as we walked by. And they don't take any guff. And by guff, I mean from these dogs. They stare them down. It's like, don't you dare try and chase me.
And here's today's podcast picture.
Oh, a good podcast picture would be me with a cow, but I don't have one. Not at my disposal to dispose of on the podcast. No, the podcast picture was from last Friday. I went to San Leandro Marina with Basil the Boxer, who had such a good time, as you can hear. And yeah, that picture, the sunset, and off in the distance is, I think, South San Francisco. Love San Leandro Marina. It's a picture of me. Once in a while, I'll throw in a picture, a selfie, a selfish selfie. But check that picture out and other stuff at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com, past interviews. You can help out the show through the Amazon link. Click on that and buy whatever it is you're going to buy, and that helps us out. Thanks. There's also the PayPal. You'll become an Inglorious Mike's Daily Podcaster. If you use that, you'll get a special greeting from all the Cafe Anyway characters. Hey, you know what else we have? At MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. All the places to catch this show. It's all over the world. Going back to the cows and the steaks and the meat markets and the meat stories. Meat stories are overhyped. I wrote this down once. It just shows you have no self-control. Because the meat stories are always something like, oh, I saw this beautiful woman and I had to have her, so I pursued her relentlessly and we got married. There's the overproduced Hollywood meat stories, which I feel are always hiding something. They go something like this. I saw the most beautiful woman and I went and I talked to her, and 2 months later we were married, now I have 10 grandkids. Really? And then that's the end of the story. Really? But there's so much else there, isn't there? I mean, what about the time, what about the bad things? There's nothing in there about the bad things that happened. Maybe you were split for 12 months or something. Or maybe you went on some drunken night in Vegas. I don't know. There could be other things in that story. I know I'm being negative. I guess that's where I was going with that. I shouldn't go there on Valentine's Day, should I? But it is there. I feel that some of these meat stories, the really overproduced meat story. I mean, I'm fine with a meat story of, well, we were friends in high school, and I kept seeing her at church, and I said, what the hell? I mean, that's a good meat story. I believe that's believable. And you've been married for how long? Oh, a couple months. Well, that's still believable. I like that meat story. But this overhyped, oh, she was the bit, and you see those in movies, and it's just not true, in my opinion. I'm getting used to saying that phrase because I have to listen to a talk show that I produce, and the talk show host is always saying, in my opinion, because he drops a lot of financial knowledge on the general public. But you can tell me what you think. You can call the number 336-MM-DAILY. I got a call on that number yesterday, as a matter of fact, and it was somebody, a record promoter, wanting me to interview. They got a really great country singer, and I would love to interview her, but then they want me to interview some author along with it that wrote some book about how to sing, and I can't bring myself to interview that person. I like the fact of meeting people and then interviewing them through an organic sort of way, like how I met Chely B. Swaggin. I met her mom. We were dog walking. Chely B's mom was walking her dog, I was walking mine, and we ran into each other, and that's how we met. And that was, I met someone, and they were talking to me, and they mentioned they had a daughter that's talented in raps, and I said, I'll have her on the show if she wants to be on. And then I also had last year a bluegrass band, a bluegrass duo on, and I met them through a friend of mine was traveling across the country in a camper, she and her husband, and they were around the campfire one night, and these two girls were playing, and they said, hey, do you want to be on our friend's podcast? And then the first time I interviewed Cure for Gravity, a great local Oakland, Berkeley, San Francisco band. They have got this cool prog rock sort of sound. I just saw them at the Oakland First Friday thing they do. And I said, you want to be on the podcast? They're like, sure. And it was the first time they were ever interviewed. Just as Chely B was the first time she was interviewed, Chely B. Swaggin. So I like that kind of way, instead of people contacting me that are big record promoter people and they make their money from, hey, pay me a lot of money and I'll promote your band. And there's just something sleazy about that. So, hey, if you are a band and you want to be on this show, that's fine. Go ahead and call 336-MM-DAILY or send me an email, MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. Now, do you know that?
It's Bison Bentley's Do You Know Dat?
Hey, this is Bison Bentley, and Mike Matthews has a couple of stories that'll make you want to ask yourself, do you know that?
So much happened yesterday. Wow. So Donald Trump's embattled National Security Advisor Michael Flynn, who got up there. Did you see him last week? I used to have that soundbite. I had to delete it because it was getting in the way. Everywhere I went, I was trying to get out of the cafe anyway, and there was the soundbite right there, right in my way. Get out of my way, soundbite. It was getting in the way. People were tripping over the soundbite. I kept putting up these little orange cones to say, big caution, soundbite right here. I don't know how you say that in Spanish, but I had to do the Spanish interpretation of that because I live in California. Michael Flynn got up there. Sean Spicer was doing his press conference, and then Michael Flynn got up and said, we are putting Iran on notice, and then he left the stage. That was the only time I ever saw Michael Flynn. Well, he resigned, following reports that he had misled Mike Pence, our vice president, former governor of Italy. What? Indiana. Okay. And other officials about his contacts with Russia. He lied. He's a lying liar. A lot of politicians are, as you know, but this was just so blatant. Trump couldn't erase that. It was beyond the pale, even in Trump's standards. His departure upends Trump's senior team after less than a month in office. In a resignation letter, Flynn said he gave Vice President Mike Pence and others incomplete information about his calls with Russia's ambassador to the U.S. The vice president, apparently relying on information from Flynn, initially said the National Security Advisor had not discussed sanctions with the Russian envoy, though Flynn later conceded the issue may have come up. Trump named retired Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg as the acting National Security Advisor. I could sure go for some cereal right now on my heartbreak day. Kellogg had previously been appointed the National Security Council Chief of Staff and advised Trump during the campaign. Trump is also considering former CIA Director David Petraeus, remember him? And Vice Admiral Robert Harward, a U.S. Navy SEAL, for the post. The Trump's team account of Flynn's discussions with the Russian envoy changed repeatedly over the past several weeks, so we knew something was up, including the number of contacts, the dates of those contacts, and ultimately the content of the conversation. Late last month, if you will recall, the Justice Department warned the White House that Flynn could be in a compromised position as a result of the contradictions between the public depictions of the calls and what intelligence officials knew to be true, based on recordings of the conversations, which were picked up as part of routine monitoring of foreign officials' communications in the U.S. They do some monitoring, and apparently Flynn was in frequent contact with Ambassador Sergei Kislyak on the day of the Obama administration, the day that the Obama administration slapped sanctions on Russia for election-related hacking, as well as other times during the transition. So there's so much there, isn't there? The Russian hacking, why Trump loves Russia so much, and why he said something like this. He said this.
I say it's better to get along with Russia than not. And if Russia helps us in the fight against ISIS, which is a major fight, and Islamic terrorism all over the world, right, major fight, that's a good thing. Will I get along with him? I have no idea. He's a killer, though. Putin's a killer. A lot of killers. We got a lot of killers. Why, you think our country's so innocent?
I don't know of any government leaders that are killers anymore.
Well, take a look at what we've done, too.
That clip, courtesy of Bill O'Reilly. I don't like him very much, but whatever. He's everything I don't want to become in the next 10 years. just to get that off my chest. Finally, Entertainment Weekly said the following: there's a growing epidemic across the streaming world, and it doesn't look like it's going to end anytime soon. Netflix cheating. Netflix cheating is on the rise. Bum, bum, bum. Yes, what that was. It happens to the best of us. You start watching a show with your significant other, and you're both really into it. Then one night, you find alone in bed, and the temptation to hit play on just one more episode is just too strong to resist. Now, I am single, so I don't have to worry about this. I can just keep watching and watching. I am almost done watching 18 seasons. Yes, 18 seasons of Midsummer Murders. A television show from England. It's not a BBC show. It's a Bentley production is what they say. But John Nettles was on it. I forget the guy that replaced him. It is just so enjoyable. They always create these crazy cartoonish British characters. There's always bickering married people and beautiful countrysides. That's why I love that show. I'm so addicted to that show, and I'm almost done with it. I've been watching it for, I think, the past 4 months. I don't binge watch. I mean, I'm binge watching, I guess, because it's the only show I'm watching. But I don't watch it all at once in one night. I can't do that. That would be... I have to think of my sanity. But people are doing it all over le planet, le monde. And one night you find yourself alone in bed, and the temptation to hit play on just one more episode is just too strong to resist. I remember when I was married that my ex-wife would want to watch more and more episodes of a show, and I couldn't do it. I would be like, let's go to sleep. And she'd be, no, let's watch one more. So I'd try and stay awake. Suddenly you've been Netflix unfaithful. Better start practicing that shock. I can't believe that character just did that face. Or your sweetheart will know about your indiscretion in no time. Here's the good news. You're not alone. Netflix recently conducted a global survey of more than 30,000 couples who stream, and they released their findings yesterday. The new data reveals that more than 48% of streaming couples in the U.S. are slipping up and watching ahead of their partners. Since 2013, the numbers of cheaters has tripled, as it has become more socially acceptable to commit streaming adultery. You're going to hear this story everywhere. This story has all the hallmarks of being on every morning show in America. every radio morning show. What's worse is that most say they plan to keep on cheating. 63% of cheaters say they'd gladly do it more if they knew they'd get away with it. And nearly half of those who do the dirty are repeat offenders. The top 5 shows that tempt streaming strayers include Walking Dead. Wow, all these shows I do not want to watch in the least. The Walking Dead, Orange is the New Black, Breaking Bad, House of Cards, and Marvel's Daredevil. The U.S., Brazil, and Mexico were among the countries with the most cheaters. Yes, U.S., Brazil, and Mexico. While the Netherlands, Germany, and Poland have the most loyal viewers. They will not stray. So that's that as we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast somewhere in Podcaster Valley. Next show, it'll be Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the Engineer. Enjoy your Valentine's Day with your honey. I hope you have a great meat story or a mediocre meat story. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Does it? No.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST.com. Email Mike now at MIKEs-DAILY-PODCAST@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!